Please excuse the state of my hair, but like so many people, we're in lockdown at the moment and I've not been to the hairdresser for ages. But I'm in my back garden and it's about 5:30 in the evening and it's about 14 degrees centigrade, so it's pretty chilly. But unusually, I've got a swarm of bees, and they're just behind me. And I think because it's so cold, really, they are very, very docile. They've obviously flown at my hive. I'm guessing it's from my hive a bit earlier this afternoon. It's good to have found a swarm like this, because these days buying a new colony of bees, it'll set you back maybe a couple of £100. So to find a swarm like this is quite good, and particularly if they are as docile as they appear to be. I've put a swarm catching box. It's a plastic crate above where the bees are, and I'm going to just try a little bit of gentle smoking now. The smoke just kind of hopefully will encourage them to move upwards into the box itself. It does excite them a little bit. It can take quite some time for this to take due process, really. Can't rush bees. They're going to do this in their own way, in their own time. I'm sure many purists out there are saying doing this all wrong. There's many other ways of capturing a swarm. I'm told what you're supposed to do is you give them a couple of puffs at the top, which starts moving at the top. And a few puffs at the bottom. Very, very understandably, if you get a swarm coming into your garden or even into your house, sometimes it can be a terrifying experience. But as I say, these are fairly docile. You'll see possibly, I haven't got any gloves on. I'm not going to stick my hand right in the middle of the swarm, that'd be a stupid thing to do, but I haven't got any gloves on at the moment, and the bees aren't attacking me. They've got far more important things to worry about at the moment, namely finding a home for the night. But hopefully my swarm capture box will provide that home. And then, I notice I keep using the word hopefully, but hopefully, if it all goes according to plan, I shall pop them in this so-called nuke box. I've got it ready here with some frames for them to settle down on to make a new home. A little entrance there for them to wander in and out, but there's a lot can go wrong between getting them into that new home from this swarm box on top of the fence, so it's just a matter of waiting now. There we are, there's a polly-laden bee sitting on my hand. They're a bit feisty. One or two are buzzing at me, but just send that one back. But a beautiful sight, really. It's quite late in the evening. I can see myself just leaving them to make their own way up during the course of the evening. It's about 8 o'clock on a somewhat overcast mid-May morning. The colony of bees I collected as a swarm last night have made it through the night. They have actually stayed in the box that I put them in, which isn't always the case. Well, most of them have stayed in the box. There are a couple of small clumps still on the fence, and I'll have a go at collecting those and transferring the bulk of the bees from the swarm box, or skep as it sometimes is known, into the new home, the polynuke, where hopefully they will settle, and once they're well established there, I'll have a go at transferring them to a full-size hive. So far so good. Unfortunately I couldn't film the bit where I was actually tipping them into the new hive itself. I needed 2 hands for that, but I've tipped, pretty well emptied the I'll call it the nuke box, the swarm box. I've pretty well emptied most of the bees from that into this new hive. I'm going to pop these frames back in now. Which should give them a new home. I don't know if it's the done thing, but I've actually sprayed sugar solution over these frames in the hope that it will encourage the bees to stay. Those that haven't actually made it into the box, I feel a bit sorry for them, but hopefully they'll work their way in through the entrance, which is open. In a minute I'll close this box up. I don't want to crush any of the bees around the edge if I could possibly help it, and really leave them to make their own way into the box as best they can. It's now about 9 o'clock, so it's an hour since I started, and they do seem to be settling quite well. I wish I could say it's been a textbook transfer. It certainly hasn't, because of the bees I've left on the fence at the far end of the garden. Probably hear a lot of sparrows in the background. Sparrows love dead bees, and during the course of events bees naturally die, get pushed out the hive, and it's a bit of a feeding frenzy for sparrows. They often collect the dead bees that are lying around, so everything has its place. I feel I've shortchanged some of you who wanted to see the whole process. It wasn't possible to film and manipulate the bees all at the same time, but basically they have been transferred to the polystyrene nuke box, and they are clustering around the entrance a bit. There'll be bees there who are fanning the pheromone of the queen. I trust she's inside the box itself, fanning the pheromone, the scent of her out, and attracting the few flying bees that are remaining. I'm pleased to say I successfully managed to sweep the extra clumps, or most of the clumps, from the fence posts as well. The board in front of the hive is almost like a ramp going up, a bit like a roll-on, roll-off ferry really. Flying bees, bees that are on the ground, will actually crawl up that ramp into the hive itself. If I wander over to where the bees were, there are a few left still wandering around. Sadly, they won't. They probably won't survive. It's too finicky to try and pick up every single bee, but possibly they'll fly across. They'll find their way to their mates, their sisters in the hive. I haven't got my hood up, and one or two of the bees, now they're away from the swarm, are a little bit feisty, and so I'd better make a steady, gentle retreat now. Come back and look in a couple of hours' time and see where we've got to.